Good evening. Welcome to Couch Convo with Coach Karla. I am your host, Karla Lewis, and of course, this is where current events and mental health converge. Thank you so much for joining us on this evening. And as you can see, I have a special guest here with us on tonight. We welcome Dr. Andrea Curry.
Thank you.
Am I pronouncing your name? Okay, yes. Good. Because sometimes it's pronounced the other way.
Yes.
So I've been wanting to have Dr. Andrea Curry on for a while, and let me tell you all about her. Well, first of all, I know her from seeing her at different events in the community, and she's always had a sweet spirit, and I'm really impressed with the work that she's doing as a professional as well as in the community. So let me tell you all a little bit about her. She is a two-time honors graduate of Walden University. She obtained her Master of Healthcare Administration in 2014 and her PhD in Health Services in 2018. For her dissertation, she evaluated the relationship between racial health disparities and the patient-provider relationship. Dr. Curry works full-time at West Cancer Center and Research Institute as the manager of patient-reported outcomes. Again, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and find out all the behind the scenes of the different things that she does, because she wears many hats. But first, I was wondering tell me about your work as a researcher.
Okay, so I do work at West Cancer Center Research Institute, and I've been there since 2019. So I oversee patient-reported outcomes projects. And so what that means is we have studies where we actually get the patient's perspective.
Okay.
So when I was working on my PhD, one thing that I saw in the literature is that oftentimes we ask physicians about their perspectives, but we don't involve the patients to find out what's most important to them, what types of therapies would they like to have, and what do they want. And so the work that I do really gives our patients a voice, and it allows us, I think, to gain insights into the cancer journey that we hopefully don't get to be a part of in that regard as being a patient, but to really find out what's most important to them. So in a nutshell, that's essentially what my work entails.
And so the patients get a chance do they get feedback on the treatment that they received as well?
It depends on the study. So some projects that I've done have been shared decision making, where we actually did focus groups with patients to ask them how did they feel about decisions that are made on their behalf. And one of the big findings from that project was that patients said that they don't want the provider to make a decision for them. Like some of them may decide, I no longer want therapy, or I don't want therapy at all. Or if the provider makes a decision that this is what we're going to do because this is how much it costs. And patients don't want that. They want to be presented with every option and then give them the autonomy to make the decision themselves. So each study is different. A lot of them entail using technology. So one very big project that we did involved using what's called a wise pill device. So you put your medication into the device, and every time you open it, it notates the time that it was open, because we were looking to see how does technology impact medication adherence.
Oh, okay.
So all types of projects that I've done since I've been there.
So that really is more so working on helping people keep up with their treatment, like making sure they're taking their medication when they should.
Right, because this particular project, it was a breast cancer study, and a lot of the patients didn't even take maintenance medications. So if you go from not taking anything, vitamins or anything, to now you have to take a tablet for 5 years, it can be a little challenging. So we wanted to see whether the technology would impact the consistency of them taking their medication.
Okay, all right. And then when you were mentioning before patients being able to indicate whether they wanted therapy or not, can you tell our audience what you mean by therapy? Because are we talking about mental health therapy?
No.
Are we talking about, what are we talking about?
We're talking about treatments. So whether or not they want chemotherapy or if they want to go through radiation, just giving the patient the opportunity to make a decision, because it's their body and it's their life. So that study was very, very interesting. That was one of the first projects that I worked on when I went to West.
Okay, so you do very important work. And I actually, when I first started working on my master's, I wanted to work in cancer research. So that's interesting that because I follow you on social media, and I knew about your motivational book because I have a copy of that. And I knew about the dissertation work that you do, but I did not know that you work in cancer research at West Cancer Center. So tell the audience how you got connected to the West Clinic.
So very interesting story, and life always takes twists and turns that we don't always expect. But in 2013, I would say one of my favorite uncles was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer, and he became a patient at West. And so at that time, when 2013, I was working on my master's degree, didn't even know what I would do with it. I just wanted it. And so I would go and sit with him sometimes when he had treatment, and I would meet my mom there. And I just got to know some of the staff, not everyone. And so it wasn't until 2019 when I was approached about this opportunity. So I didn't know that I would end up doing this work, but I really love it. But everything that I do in the oncology space, I do attribute it to the life and legacy of my beloved uncle, Mr. Gardner Jones. And actually, that work enables me I serve as pretty much like the CEO of the Gardner Jones Hospice Missions Project.
Okay.
So we've been doing it since 2016, and we've donated thousands of items to Methodist hospice residents. And we give those items so that hospice patients can have some of the things that they need, because a lot of times I feel like that population is forgotten because, yes, they're on hospice. It doesn't mean that they are actively dying, and a lot of those patients need assistance. So my family and I, we made a decision to give back because my uncle was taken in as a patient. We never got a bill. Some philanthropist paid for his care. And so we didn't have that concern in his last weeks. It was pretty much a week of his life. We didn't have to worry about him having the 24-hour care, because when they start transitioning, they need a little bit more care. So I do that as a way to give back, and it just warms my heart each year.
That's wonderful. And people do forget about people in hospice. And I think that people in general often associate hospice with this person is dying, which might not necessarily be the case.
That's right.
And then you mentioned hospice patients having a need. And so I'm assuming that they have needs because care is so expensive.
Yes, and then you could do home hospice, because we did that for a while with my uncle. And so when you're doing home hospice, you're not getting the care that you would in a facility. So all of that falls on the family for the sheets, the socks, the diapers, the bed pads. There's a long list of items that are needed. And so I have made it my mission to give back as long as I can. And they really are appreciative every year when we come by with the donations.
That's wonderful. Because a lot of times when we think about donations to hospitals, I think one of the first things we think about is babies.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a very important need. And so if people want to give to that, how do they connect with you to give to that?
So if you connect with me on social media, you can follow me either on my personal page, Andrea Curry, or my business page, I think I have it under Dr. A.C. Wright's LLC. And I'll be posting about it beginning next month, because I like to deliver right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yes. Now, y'all can just go ahead and know my birthday is on Thanksgiving this year, baby.
Me too.
Are you serious?
Yes.
See? Good people, good people. So no, I'm always excited about my birthday, but I'm triple excited when it's on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like being a Thanksgiving baby. That's cool. Okay. One of the things that I know that you got into is helping people with their dissertations, working on editing those. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So in 2019, I transitioned from my job. I worked at Methodist University Hospital. I worked in pharmacy administration. And so when I accepted the role at West, I didn't realize that we were going to be on a different pay schedule, or I was going to be on a different pay schedule. So it's going to be 3 weeks without a paycheck. And I had to make a decision, like, what am I going to do for the 3 weeks to make sure that nothing falls behind?
Right.
So I started thinking and I started praying, and I'm like, okay, I've got to figure something out. And I started asking God, what can I do to try to make a little bit of money? I'm not trying to have a whole nother career. And I remembered that when I went through my dissertation process, I did my own edits.
Okay.
So I started fiddling with graphic design in 2018. So I made a flyer. I posted it. That same day I got client number 1. And last night I think I finished number 838.
That's wonderful.
So it was not something that I thought that I would continue to do, but here we are 5 years later, and so many lives have been touched by my sacrifice.
And I'm sure they appreciate the service that you provide.
They tell me. That's what they tell me.
So listen, so I'm a little bit of a writer. You know, I work with the American Christian Fiction Writers Association. We meet monthly, and then I also work with the Mid-South Christian Writers Conference that we have every year. And so I know a little bit about editing, that editing can be like proofreading, or I don't know, like you can also give suggestions about your client's work. So do you do all of that? What type of editing do you offer?
So I do everything from dissertations, PowerPoints. I've done books, journal articles. It's the same concept. It just really depends on what it is I'm editing, but primarily I'm assisting my clients with maintaining a scholarly voice. And then when you get into writing at the doctoral level, you have to use what's called APA. So it's the American Psychological Association. They have specific guidelines on how your formatting has to be, and there's so many rules that you have to know and remember. So that's what I assist my clients with, and then aligning their work to their school's template.
And it's good to have someone else's eye to look at your work, because, you know, if I write, even though I consider myself to be a good writer and, you know, good at remembering a lot of the grammar rules, we can miss something, you know, especially if it's lengthy, because dissertations can be how many pages? Like,
they can go from 80 pages to over 300 pages. So it really depends. Mine was 95 because I'm very succinct. I said what I had to say, and then I wrapped it up.
I know that's right. I'm like that myself most of the time, unless you get me going. Now, if you get me going, then I could be pretty wordy. But okay. But I mean, I know that the work that you do is very important in terms of people feeling confident about their dissertation.
That's right.
Okay, that's really good. All right. So I do want people to know that you also are an adjunct faculty member.
Yes.
Okay, so tell the audience a little bit about the areas that you are an adjunct faculty in.
Okay, so if I can give you a little background, because I get a lot of questions about how did you even start to do this, and how did you know you wanted to do it. So in 2007, I applied for a job at Concord Career College to be an instructor. The funny thing is I had no instructor experience. The only thing that I had was technical experience, because at that time I was a pharmacy technician, or I had worked as a pharmacy technician. So I was going to teach pharmacy tech courses. I took the job, had no experience, but I soon realized that I have a gift for teaching. Because I really connected with my students, and I won all kind of awards because I taught a section that had primarily terrible attendance. I had a class that was from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m.
Ooh, honey, yes.
So to have students to have 90, it was called Club 95. You had 95% attendance for an entire 6 weeks. I got that award over and over and over again, and I realized that in order to do that, I had to first connect with the students. I had to let them see me and not just see me as their teacher. And I made it fun. We had all kind of activities. I used to bring cupcakes. I mean, I just had a blast with it. And so I realized that I had a gift. Fast forward to 2019, was wrapping up my PhD, and I'm like, I can use my degree in multiple ways. Let me try to see if I can get a job teaching. And so I secured my first role with Letourneau University, which is in Longview, Texas, and I taught. So I primarily teach healthcare courses. So organizational behavior, healthcare administration, any type of healthcare class. Right now, I'm doing a class on strategic planning and marketing. So from there, I did. I applied for another role at Liberty University in 2022. Didn't think anything about it. Got a call for an interview. Before I could interview for that job, I got another call from the American College of Education.
Okay.
So I interviewed with them first.
Yeah.
Got the offer
Yeah.
the next day as an editor. So I was doing the same thing that I do for my business. I was just editing a cohort of students. Then I interviewed for Liberty, got that job. Then last year, don't remember applying for it, got another job at the University of Arizona Global Campus. So I'm no longer with LaTourneau, but I am active at the other 3 universities.
Okay, all right. So I heard you say organizational behavior. I actually took organizational behavior at Fisk as a business. Yeah, I did business studies for my undergraduate.
Okay.
So, and that was one of my favorite classes, was organizational behavior. Okay. Okay. So listen, y'all, one of the other things that Dr. Curry has achieved is writing a book.
Yes.
And which I love it. It's a small book, but it's like each entry that she has is just so meaty. It's like pow. Like you got to be ready for the pow every time you turn a page. So tell us what inspired you to do that book and tell them a little bit about it.
Okay, so I started writing what I have nicknamed AMTs, or Andrea's Motivational Thoughts. And I want to say that I started writing them very seriously in 2013. So in 2012, my grandfather went into the hospital for what we thought was a routine procedure.
Yeah.
And he ended up in ICU for about 3 weeks, and he passed away.
Yeah.
He passed away in December, and so I'm grieving that. And then in February, I was laid off from my full-time job. So I decided that I wouldn't wallow in my circumstances, but I would continue to share my motivational thoughts.
Yeah.
So from 2013 until 2018, I consistently shared those thoughts on social media. And then in 2018, I told you I started dabbling in graphic design. So I would take my thoughts and I would put them into a graphic. I created a distribution list, and I sent them out to about 50 people every day.
Okay.
And I did that every day, and one of my aunts, she told me, she said, listen, this is really, really good, and if you don't publish this, I'm going to.
Oh, okay then.
So I had emergency surgery in 2018, and I would send them out every morning, and I knew that it would send my people on alert if they didn't get my text.
Okay.
So I sent out a message and I said, hey, I don't want you guys to be alarmed, but I've just been admitted to the hospital. Of course, my phone started to jump in. I'm like, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
I didn't know at that moment that the oncologist assigned to my case, he was assured and very confident that I had ovarian cancer. And he told me what he was going to do and how, he was going to have to remove certain pieces of me and put in chemotherapy ports to prepare me for chemo immediately. And so from that, I went through the recovery. Thank God it was not cancer. It was a benign mass. And once I recovered and I got back to work, I got an email from Christian Faith Publishing, and they said, hey, do you have something that you'd like to publish? And I'm looking like, how did they get my email?
Right.
I don't remember. I didn't remember sending them any information. And I said, well, I actually do. I have a full manuscript.
Yeah.
So I added 3. I think I had 57, and I wanted to be 60 entries. So I wrote out 3 more. I sent it over, and I got a phone call, and they were like, we love this. We can see this being a series. Are you ready to publish? And so we got to rolling in about July of 2018, and by December, it was ready. They sent me my first copies and had book signings, and the rest is history.
That's good. And so do you still promote your book? Because now I know about it from a couple of years ago, but do you still actively promote it?
I haven't, because I'm doing so many things, and I try not to overwhelm people who follow me, and sometimes I'm overwhelmed because it's so much.
Yeah.
But I talk about it from time to time, but I haven't actively advertised.
Okay. I think you have a podcast too.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I haven't had a chance to check out the podcast. Tell us about the podcast.
So the podcast came about, 2018 was a big year for me.
Yeah.
I was a guest on a podcast, and the host messaged me, or he called me after I was on his show, and he said, listen, I have never had numbers like I had when you were on here.
Okay.
What do you think about having your own podcast? I'm like, I don't think anything. I don't want to have my little voice. I don't want to have my little voice out there. And so he was like, no, I think you would be great if you just send me the audio. I will do all the mixing and the production for you. So we did that for a couple of years, and then when he transitioned away, he didn't pass away, but you know, we just went our separate ways. I had to learn how to do it myself. And so I taught myself, and he actually gave me a few tips on how to master, mix it myself. And I put out some episodes since I've been independent, but life is so busy that I really have to make time. But yeah, it's everywhere. Anywhere you look for podcasts, Mind to Heart is there.
Okay, so it's called Mind to Heart.
Just like my book.
I just want to say, isn't that the name of the book?
Yes.
Okay, so the name of the book is Mind to Heart. And then how can people get your book?
So the book is still available on Amazon. And Walmart had it for a while, Target had it for a while, and also Barnes & Noble has it. Okay. So if you're not one who likes to read, I actually hired a narrator in 2022, and so now I have an audio version as well.
Ooh, now look, that's fancy when you get the audio version. Y'all, she has an audio version. Now I need the audio version myself, even though I have the physical copy. These words, I would love to have somebody just read them to me, or for me to be listening as I'm going around the track. For you all who follow me on social media, I went live, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago. You know, I've started getting back in the gym. We got to do what we got to do. Yes. And so they know that's where I am. I like walking around the track. That's one of my favorite things to do, as opposed to just exercising. So anyways, but yeah, I would love to listen to that while I'm walking. So that would be great.
Yeah. He did an awesome job. It brought tears to my eyes when I listened to it after he finished the recording. He did amazing.
Aw, that's good. So listen, we're going into the fall season. So are you a fall girl?
I am. I love the winter. I love the cold weather. I think it's because I was born in November. I don't know. But I love the sweater dress season is almost here.
Yes. I like sweater season. Now, I said it the way it was like, I was thinking about the young ladies on Saturday Night Live. They say sweater weather. It's time for sweater weather. So that's why I said it like that. But I love sweater season. I actually sweatshirt season.
Yes.
Sweatshirts, jeans, and Uggs.
Yes, ma'am.
Or boots.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any Uggs, but all of y'all got them. Yeah. And I know somebody posted that they were ready. Come on, they said, come on, spring, get out. I mean, whatever, y'all. Summer, get out of here so we can put these Ugg boots on. Well, okay. Well, let's see. What else do you do that we need to know about? Is there anything that I left out?
Sometimes I do motivational speaking. I have gone to I've had a few engagements. One of the highlights, I think, since I've been doing it, I was contacted by one of my elementary classmates, and we went to high school together as well, but he asked me to come to Nashville to his high school to talk about mental health. Oh, okay. And that was a really good experience, and I had to put my researcher hat on. I had all kind of statistics, and I was so ready. I had all my notes, and that was just really good. And so sometimes I go out and I speak about cancer awareness, prevention, especially in October. Have done quite a few breast cancer events. So I do that from time to time, but sometimes West keeps me really busy because I do go out and present at conferences. When we submit our abstracts of the research that we've done, I go out and present those at different conferences.
That's good. Okay, then. All right. Let me ask you, Halloween is coming up. Do you do Halloween? Do you dress up? What's your take on that?
I don't acknowledge Halloween as a holiday, but I have in years past did dress up at work because the patients really enjoy it. But now I'm no longer in the patient population, so I'm sure I won't be doing it. much anymore.
I like dressing up. I always dressed up.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's a whole story because my grandfather would dress up. So, you know, my parents would dress up, you know, and I know how people feel about Halloween, but I people know I'm a Christian.
Yes.
So I most certainly don't celebrate the underbelly of it.
Exactly.
The dark side of it.
Exactly.
We started calling it, what are these
Hallelujah
names?
Night.
Hallelujah Night, and I don't know. I want that fall. What was it? Well, I don't know. I think there was another word other than Hallelujah Night, whatever that was. But anyways, yeah, y'all know. But I'm already thinking about what I want to do, and then of course I do the good costumes. So I'm just gonna go and tell you. No, I'm not. I'm gonna keep it a secret.
No, keep it a secret.
I'm gonna keep it a secret, and then we just gonna pop out and see what happens.
That's right.
So I have enjoyed having you on tonight on the show. Tell people how they can follow you. I know we mentioned it earlier. Are there any other social media handles that we need to mention?
So I'm on Instagram as well, Dr. Andrea Curry, and then Dr. AC Wrights. I'm on LinkedIn, Andrea Curry, and all my credentials. And that's pretty much it. I have a YouTube page. I don't really publish as much on there.
Okay.
But Dr. Andrea Curry. So pretty much everywhere. I try to stay pretty active and, you know, promote some of the things that I'm doing.
Okay. All right. Well, so you all check out her book. What's the name of the book again?
Mind to Heart Motivational Thoughts. You can get it from Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We've enjoyed having you on tonight.
Thank you.
And you all keep on coming back to the couch. We are live on Thursday nights on YouTube and Facebook. And then we air on Friday nights on Xfinity Channel 17 at 7 p.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking, located in the heart of East Memphis. Let us host your next intimate birthday gathering, family repast, bachelorette party, wedding and reception, baby shower, corporate meeting, social club event. Call us today. Don't wait. 901-244-6874. The all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center. Rock and Roll Party Bites, the perfect way to celebrate any occasion in Memphis. Rock and Roll Party Bites, a lively tour guide, your favorite music and great scenery. Church group, family reunions, corporate outings, fun for all over 10 years old. It's a memorable experience. Bachelors, bachelorette parties, book now. Our fleet of bites accommodates up to 16 riders. Book now. It's Rock and Roll Party Bites.